Do you want your business to grow faster? Are you open to new and out-of-the-box ways to drive revenues and increase value? How do you imagine the most successful entrepreneurs and business leaders double, triple, or expand their businesses tenfold or more? The answer is Deals. This is a weekly podcast featuring conversations with business owners, executives, and leaders as we reveal behind-the-scenes details that give you, our listeners, the confidence to pursue your own deal-driven growth. On this show, we discuss a huge variety of deals, everything from large, complex mergers and acquisitions, capital raising, joint ventures, strategic alliances, real estate, affiliate and sponsorship deals, franchising, and more. My name is Corey Kupfer, and I've been supporting deal-driven growth for businesses for over 35 years as a successful entrepreneur, professional negotiator, and attorney. My goal is to help you strategize, plan for, find, and complete deals that will help your company grow faster. Welcome to the DealQuest Podcast. Let's get started. Hello, DealQuest community. Corey Kupfer here with a quick holiday episode. I just wanted to, first of all, obviously wish you all a phenomenal holiday season. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Happy New Year, definitely. At the end of the year, it's always easy to sort of, just say a bunch of platitudes, which are true, how much we appreciate our clients, how much I appreciate the audience here on DealQuest, all the guests that have come on. But I want to do a couple of things just in this episode. It's not going to be heavy on content. Everybody has enough going on in December here and coming into January and the new year. But I just want to share some thoughts on a few of the episodes this year, recent episodes that if you missed, I definitely want you to catch up on. And then just some things around this time of year and maybe some thoughts on a conversation I had recently with somebody on what I call integration versus balance. I'm not saying this is, all of this applies to deals, but this is not going to be a heavy deal content episode. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about some of the episodes this year. I know we have many of our listeners that listen literally religiously every week to the episodes. And then some of you, there's some that maybe, miss some, which is all good, right? I'll pick the ones that they really care about. But I will tell you, we've had a few episodes that I want to make sure that, that you haven't missed, or maybe they're even worth a second listen if you, even if you listened to them before. So, in terms of, and, we can look at, sometimes we'll look at the ones that are the most popular for the year, and we obviously have stats on those and whatever. And listen, sometimes those mean that, there's a reason it's popular. It's one of the best episodes. But frankly, also, some people promote more strongly, or they hit at a particular time when people are more available to listen than with others, right? So, I also want to highlight some that maybe are more recent, so they haven't had as much time, or maybe, could be overlooked as well. So I'm going to do a combination of those two things. And maybe, you want to, if you do have some downtime, well, you want to escape from the stress of the holiday season, which hopefully you don't have, but I know a lot of people do. And I'll talk about why I actually generally don't get stressed at this time of year. I mean, I heard, some, this is not the first year I've heard them, but I've heard some really bad statistics on the increased chances of heart attack and stroke during this time of year. So let's not make that happen, folks. Let's try to sort of stay calm during this time, whether it's, you got a lot going on because you have end of year deals closing. We have a couple this year. Last year we had 6. So it's not as crazy. I mean, we have as many deals going on, but I think this year people are less concerned about getting them done by the end of the year. Or it's family, stresses of time. I mean, I heard something recently, I think it was a segment on public radio where they talked about, they were interviewing people who would move from, especially for the adults, getting gifts for everybody. And, we stopped that a long time ago, in terms of buying gifts for the adults, in the family, because it's just, well, we're fortunate enough, between my mother and my parents, when my dad was alive, my brother, that we've all done well enough that it's not like we absolutely need things. And, everybody's buying something to someone, so it equals out. I get it, like for kids, and I also get it, if it's important to you for your family, I'm not making a judgment, or if, you have folks in your family who can really use something and you can afford it. But, it's one less stressor that, we can take out of the mix if it works for you. So any case, let me actually go to some of the episodes that, maybe if you do have some downtime and want some escape time, you might want to listen to. And I'm going to sort of go in reverse order because some of these are more recent. Some of my favorite episodes we've done towards the end of this year, starting with the one that, as I'm recording this, which is, it's not going to be the one that's most recent when this gets aired, but as I'm recording this, the most recent one that was out this past week was episode 381. which was Successful Exit, the psychology behind successful exits with Dave Hersh. This is one of the favorite interviews I've done on the entire podcast. I had seen Dave speak, or I had actually brought him in, helped bring him in to speak at the EO Deal Exchange conference, and just his honest, authentic, and open journey around creating a very successful company, his exit, the challenges that came for him post-exit, and being sort of loss of identity. People know what that's a theme of mine, and how he's sort of come through that and what he does with clients now, and some very interesting in a board meeting cards and topics. You definitely want to listen to that. I really love that episode. Going back before that, Bob Bush, fascinating guy. Oh my, episode 377, has an unbelievable journey from East St. Louis to all over the world, working with governments and sovereign wealth funds in the Middle East and in Africa, and then starting a coffee company with Dikembe Mutombo before Mutombo passed. You definitely, want to hear Bob's story. Just an amazing, amazing guy, and a great entrepreneurial story and deal story, and and definitely want to check out their coffee. Jodi Hume was a fun interview at episode 366. Also getting into exit and potential regret, but how she actually works with people to set them up to effectively exit and not have those kind of regrets that she talks about, and that actually Dave Hersh talks about in the other episode that I mentioned. And then the other one that I really like that also is one of the top performing episodes from this year is back on episode 354, Building AI-Powered Companies Through Strategic Bootstrapping with Hikari Senju. Hikari's got a great entrepreneurial story. It's fun what he's building. Definitely had a lot of deal content in there. So if you missed that one, which sounds like a lot of you saw because the stats on it are very high, definitely check that one out as well. Let me talk to you a little bit about some plans going forward. We're going to have a great kickoff episode in the beginning of January with my partner, Brian Meegan, and I, where we talk about what we're seeing for 2026. We haven't had Brian on the podcast since he joined me a couple of years ago as a partner. So that's going to be exciting. And I have a couple of things on special series that we are going to do beyond the usual episodes. As you may remember, we did a special series with some of the top aggregators and integrators and serial acquirers in the RIA space. And I think we're going to do something similar next year, but less with the big funded aggregators. And then also we have a couple of thoughts on other series in other industries to supplement the regular podcast. So look out for that as well. And then finally, let me give you a few updates on the firm. And then I want to talk about some thoughts on this season and the conversation of integration. So we're very excited. The firm continues to grow. We literally just hired another attorney to help us grow and build on the employment transition side. Olivia Carrera has a significant background in employment advice and strategy and things like that. So, with all our breakaway teams and our firms that we're and who are onboarding new advisors and employees, she's going to be a big help there and get plugged in and free me up some more on that side. And we will have further growth announcements coming up this year as well. I know I'm also excited. I'm already booked for several key speaking engagements coming up this year in, various conferences and industries. And I'm excited to get out there around those. You'll hear announcements on those. And, it's just, listen, we continue to be busy and grow and have great clients. And we're super, super appreciative of that. And, we don't promote a lot on the podcast here, but listen, any kind of contract deal, strategy, negotiating advice, company equity, corporate structuring, employee incentive, attraction, retention vehicles, succession planning, M&A, any other kind of deal, obviously, and then we have some ancillary capabilities around trademark and real estate leasing and things like that. We're always happy to help you. So reach out to us. And listen, although we have a waiting list and a lot of people interested to be a guest, if you think somebody would be a great guest for the podcast, definitely direct them to the podcast page on coreycomfort.com/podcast. And you'll see there's everybody goes through an application and vetting process, so you can direct them over there. All right. So I just want to close up here this short episode with some thoughts around this season and the conversation of integration. I was out to dinner with a phenomenal couple who run an amazing company and related nonprofit called Gang Gang. And they originated and started out in Indianapolis. And they, among other things, create a top fine arts fair for artists of color, and Black artists and they take no commission. So it is 100% of the money go to the artists. It's a phenomenal community development program. It hits a lot of the things that we care about around the arts and around empowerment, and around equity and opportunity. And the reason I bring them up is because this is the context of the conversation of integration, but also it is an integration conversation to bring our full selves to everywhere we do. So whether that's the work we do, the podcast I do, the clients I spend time with, the causes that I care about and support, this is just an example of what I'm about to talk about. And in that conversation, my wife and I, out to dinner, we were talking to them because they asked, a question around balance, right? And a lot of people talk about balance. And I said I gave up the conversation of balance like 15 years ago. And I came up, it's become more popular to say this, but back then it wasn't. And the word integration is very different than balance for me. Balance has this conversation about all these separate parts. So around this time of year, you have the deals you're trying to close, you're trying to run your company, or you got family obligations, you got to buy gifts, you have some travel, right? And it could all feel totally disjointed and competing with each other if you look at it as separate and if you look at it as a challenge on how you balance all these separate things. But if you're in an integration conversation, then it creates a different lens. So, for example, all right, we support organizations with people that we really love. If the cause for the organization is good, but we don't like the people, we're not going to support it. If the people are great, but we don't support the cause, we're not going to support it, right? So what does that mean? We get to go out to dinner and have a phenomenal time, right, with Molly and Alan, who run Gang Gang, and have an amazing dinner and really enjoy ourselves during this December timeframe, relaxed, fun, right, great food, etc. And also, support them and have a great exchange of dialogue on how we can support, their cause and mission and how we can play a role and the insights we learn from them as well, right? That's phenomenal. And we did that close to where we live here in Marina del Rey, and that's a small example. Even for us living here in Marina del Rey, California, coming from New York was an integration conversation because we said, hey, what environment would most serve us? Where do we want to live? What would work for us? So we decided, for example, and this was 10 years ago originally, and now in the place we live now is 5 years, we live in a very high-end luxury building. I don't say that to impress anybody, but the point is we chose that over buying a home out here, a standalone home. Why? Because I know for me, maintaining a home, dealing with all that stuff or whatever, worrying about it when we're traveling for security, safety, for maintenance, etc., right? That's not an integration conversation. But living in a place, by the way, and working from here at home when we're out here, that's an integration conversation. Being able to put a ticket in a portal if there's a maintenance issue, right, and not having to worry about it, that's an integration conversation because it frees me up to do what I want to do and to travel freely, not have security concerns, right? It's a secure building. We live on the water. We look out at the marina. I get to take my dog out and walk along the promenade, right? Anytime I want. I have a break in the day, I can do that. I have a break in the day, I can go out on my patio and look at the beautiful water view. I have what I call, and my wife loves, is this cold brew moment in the morning where I pull my cold brew, I walk out, at least look out the glass front, or if the weather's nice enough, which is almost all the time here in LA, I walk outside on the patio and spend that moment, right? That's an integration conversation, right? I get connected to the water. I get connected to the view. I get connected and appreciative and grateful about where we live, right? I enter my day where I might have negotiations on, an M&A deal or dissolving a business partnership or anything else that we deal with in a good state of mind, supported in a phenomenal place, right? We live 15 minutes from LAX, 20 minutes at most in an Uber. That's an integration conversation. I travel a lot. There's a big difference if, it took me an hour and a half to get to the airport each way, or a 5-minute walk from the beach. So I can give you a lot of examples, but, imagine this. If you had great clients you love spending time with, right? And it wasn't a drag to have to go to somebody's holiday event or whatever because you love being with them. If you can combine them with, maybe their significant other, whatever you get to know, and then you can go out as couples or as families, with them. And that's a fun night, not an obligatory night. And maybe you even get to bring them together with amazing people that you work with in the causes of philanthropy that you do, because they're all phenomenal people and you want to get them involved, not to create any pressure maybe for the business people to donate, but because it would be a great night, whether they do or not. That's all an integration conversation, right? So at this time, it's interesting because, I don't want to stretch the analogy too far to make this into a deal thing. But the great deals, the great mergers, the great acquisitions have a component that bring culture together, that bring integration together, that has everything work together, as one, and the ones that fail have the most problems. Well, I think there's some lessons for life here, right? The more we can create integration in our life, the more that we can love what we do. I mean, doing this podcast, I always say it's one of my favorite things to do every month. I don't do this like begrudgingly, because it's good marketing or I make great connection, it keeps me top of mind. Sure, it does all those things. But I've chosen this medium over, for example, writing a monthly or weekly column, which I've been offered, because this is in my passion. This is an integration conversation. I love talking deals. I love this medium. I would not love if I had to write every week. I love being interviewed by reporters, so I do that, right? So figure out these things that work all together in your life. Sort of look at every sort of thing you have happening in your life coming into this new year and what you can integrate and what is the integration move for you that will make things a lot more smooth, better, and not have you feel like you're juggling all these balls, right? And if you have that kind of clarity and that plan, which is what you should be doing in your business, which is what you should be doing, these whiteboarding sessions we do for our clients who are looking to do deals, become, let's say, buyers in an M&A, right? What it does is it creates a filter, just like getting clarity on the types of business deals and models and structures you're going to do, that has you be able to make decisions much more efficiently and easily and effectively, and reduces stress and creates peace of mind. So I hope that's helpful to you in this new year. Thank you for all your support in 2025. And we look forward to spending more time with you in 2026. Corey Kupfer signing off. Thank you, DealQuest community. Thank you for joining me on this episode of DealQuest, where we help you understand how deal-driven growth can be your ticket to freedom. If you are interested in finding out more about my law firm, the services we provide to entrepreneurial and growing companies across industries all over the country, and my partner Brian Meegan and I, and my amazing team, just head over to kupferlaw.com. That's kupferlaw.com. And if you want to follow more of my content, head over to my LinkedIn page where I post regularly. I'm Corey Kupfer. Until next week, wishing you the freedom and financial prosperity that I know your DealQuest will bring.